A love and hate alliance between ancient Egypt and Babylon existed between 1375 and 1333 BCE, beginning with Thutmose IV of Egypt and Kurigalzu, the king of Babylon, lasting through at least Amenhotep III, Kadashman-Enlil, Bernabariash II, Akhenaten, and Tutankhamun. And we know this thanks to the Amarna letters, a series of 382 clay tablets documenting diplomatic correspondence between the administration of Egypt and its neighbouring powers. The letters seem to show a strong early alliance between Babylon and Egypt, but as the generations passed, the relationship seemed strained, with either side frustrated with unfulfilled commitments. Bernabariash, the king of Babylon, writes to the pharaoh of Egypt, Akhenaten, to remind him of his loyalties after his grandfather stayed loyal to Egypt. In the time of Kurigalzu, my ancestor, all the Canaanites wrote here to him, saying, "Come to the border of my country so that we can revolt and be allied with you." But my ancestor sent this reply, saying, "Forget about being allied with me. If you become enemies of the kings of Egypt and are allied with anyone else, will I not then come and plunder you? For the sake of your ancestor, my ancestor did not listen to them." In a separate letter from the pharaoh Amenhotep to the king Kadashman-Enlil wrote, "As for you citing the words of my father, leave it. Don't speak of his words. Moreover, establish friendly brotherhood between us." This is what you wrote. These are your words. Now we are brothers, and I and you, both of us. But I got angry concerning your envoys, because they speak to you, saying, "Nothing is given to us who go to Egypt." In another letter, the king of Babylon tries to buy the daughter of the pharaoh Amenhotep III. "Moreover, you, my brother, when I wrote to you about marrying your daughter in accordance with your practice of not giving a daughter, you wrote to me, saying, 'From time immemorial, no daughter of the king of Egypt is ever given to anyone.' Why not? You're the king and you do as you please. Were you to give a daughter, who would say anything?" And what came to be the most famous pharaoh of them all, Tutankhamun, also received complaints, this time from Bernabariash, complaining that he has not been sent enough gold, and yet again reminding Tutankhamun of what his ancestors did for him. So the bickering and the disrespect went back and forward for many letters. As I say, it's the Amarna letters. If you want to go read them, you can easily find them online. But one entity that did remain highly respected throughout Mesopotamia and the ancient world, long after their civilization came to an end, were the Sumerians. So much so that the kings, even in this video 1,000 years after the Sumerian civilization, were still using the Sumerian language in their royal and holy inscriptions, similarly to how we still use Latin today. For an example, the king we've been talking about in this video, Kurigalzu, wrote many of his holy inscriptions or his royal inscriptions in Sumerian, and I'm going to go through one of them with you right now. So this is the inscription. It's a brick, and I'm going to go through it with you in some detail. But the inscriptions are a little faded, so let's just play about with it a little bit to give you an idea of what they look like, and I think we'll just use the line art at the end anyway. Okay, so let's go through this. As usual, shrink myself down. I'm going to use myself as a cursor. I mean, sometimes these get a bit boring because royal inscriptions, holy inscriptions, like, they're very samey. The only thing that changes is the name of the deities, really, and the name of the kings. But in that respect, they're quite easy to read. Anyway, so top line dedicated to the high god, if some say the highest god of the Anunnaki, Enlil. This means what follows is the name of a deity. Enlil, his name literally translates to the Lord of the Wind, the Lord of the Breeze. And it goes on to say Lugal Kokora. Lugal means king. Interestingly, evolved from pictographs. Sumerian is not pictographic, evolved from pictographs and tokens. So this is actually a man wearing a crown. And it literally translates to big man or great man. Because Lu, just this part here, is man. And this part means great. So it's great man, big man. Kokora. Kor means land. Kor, reduplicating it, is for plurality. And Ra on the end, which is a bit faded, is the genitive case marker. So it's the king of all of the lands, referring to Enlil. And then again, obviously going to say king, we've just gone through that. And it says Lugal Anir. Lugal Anir. Lugal Anir. King again, these two together, Ani, third person possessive marker, and ir on the end is the dative, stating that the whole inscription is dedicated to Enlil. The next line is the name of the king Kurigalzu. You might recognize that from the beginning of the video. Kurigalzu, the name of the king. This king has not included a determinative with his name. I don't know whether that's the same for all of his inscriptions. This is a Kassite king, way after the Sumerians, but still using Sumerian in the same way we use Latin today. They respected it a lot. And then the next line says Shagina. Just these two together, so Diri compound says Shagina. This means general. And then again, exactly the same as the top line, the deity Enlil. So it's the general of Enlil. Kurigalzu is the general of Enlil. He's the general of the god, the high god of the Anunnaki, is the king. He thinks of himself as that. And then this line, oh god, my battery, it's always dying, this battery. Need a new phone. So the next line says Akur Igi Bar. What's that? Oh, Igibara. Is it Igibara? Yeah, Igibara. Akur Igibara. So this could translate to several things, because Igibara can mean stone, a stone object. It can mean scout, or Igibar can mean to look at, and it could be the genitive case marker on the end. So in each case, Ikor means a mountain, or because Kur also doesn't just mean foreign land, it can also mean mountain, it can also mean prison, but it does not mean prison in this context. The Ikor, or the mountain temple, and then all this could either be the mountain temple that is favorably looked upon, or the mountain temple of stone, or it could say the mountain temple of scouts, because Igibara can mean scout. But then there would actually be no genitive case marker, not with a sign at least anyway, but it would be implied because of that ends with an A anyway, and it wouldn't repeat it. So the next line, A Kiangani. A means temple again, if you were paying attention. Ki-ang means beloved, and Gani, Ani, is what we're paying attention to, is the third person possessive. If you remember from up here, it's the same as this, only using a different sign here. The G of this is the carrying on the alpha from Ki-ang. So it's his beloved temple, is that line. And then the very last line says Mu'un na-du. Mu is the ventive prefix. In some instances, it can lose its meaning can get lost in translation, but it informs us that what follows is a transitive verb and is animate. It does have direct meaning in some instances, and I'm going to do a video on this very soon when I get my ass in gear to do it. And this is the third person, initial person prefix. Na is the dative and the final person prefix, and this is do, meaning to build on the end. So it's he built for him. So altogether it's for Enlil, the king of all of the lands, his king Kurigalzu, the general of Enlil. Let's go with the mountain temple of stone, his beloved temple, he built for him, is what it says.